Welcome back, friends. I'm glad that you are watching this show, Real Education Live. And with every week, we bring some professional, some expert in the field of skill development and education development. Today, it's our pleasure that we have Mr. Kamal Rawat with us, who will be talking about developing software engineering talent for product-based company. To give you a quick introduction about Mr. Rawat, Mr. Rawat is an author, coach, and mentor. He is founder of Ritambara Technologies. Mr. Kamal Rawat is a software developer who has worked at the architect level on large-scale complex projects like Microsoft PowerPoint and Adobe Photoshop. He has authored 5 books and is working closely with IT professionals and engineering colleges on redefining the way software education is imparted. So we welcome Mr. Rawat to our show.
Thank you. Thank you, Vikas.
So
Glad to be here.
thank you very much, and it's our pleasure too, and pleasure for our viewers to have you on our show. And with that, in case anybody who is watching this show can have any query, they can drop your question in the comment section here, and we'll be glad to take up those questions. Mr. Rawat, I would like to take the first and foremost question, which is actually denting and being asked in many forums, that despite so many engineering colleges, why there is a shortage of software engineering talent in India?
So, I've tried to answer this question multiple times on multiple forums. I think, one thing is that we are lacking the software talent, right? Another thing is that, we have missed the entire train. So for past 2 decades, our focus has not been on developing the indigenous talent in a way that, we are producing the building blocks. So to put it in a blunt way, in past few decades, the kind of engineering institute we have, the kind of education that this engineering institute has provided, and the kind of hiring that has happened, and the kind of bulk hirers, there are 2-3 different types of companies, but the bulk hiring happens in companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS. So all of these 3-4 institutions combined have, in my opinion, confused the students. So students were actually not sure while being in their engineering what to study. Right? So let's say if we are talking about some 10-15 years back, so if a student who is very good in algorithms, data structure, or core computer science concepts, which actually form the building blocks of computer science, that student may not get due regards in terms of the placements that are happening, especially in private colleges. I'm not talking about IITs. Obviously, in IITs, it's a different thing. But in private institute where bulk hiring companies are coming, they used to hire people not based on their computer science talent, not based on their core engineering skills, but based on how good a salesman they are, how good they are in their analytical abilities, right? If you are good, if you are street smart, if you can present yourself well, if you can reply to the emails well, if your logic is good, then they will hire you, because they are not hiring you for building professional, robust systems. They are hiring you for doing some client work, right? And that kind of, in my opinion, confuse students. For 4 years, what should they focus on? Because ultimately they want job after their engineering education, and to get the job, they need to focus not on core computer science concept, but on some other things.
Okay.
So this is, there can be multiple reasons. We can talk about it in detail.
Yes.
We can spend but I think this is the crux of how we missed these essentially 2 decades of software engineering. This has been changing for last 7-8 years now, especially with competitive programming and with a lot of things which are coming in.
Okay, so when you talked about name some few companies which are mostly in service related company in software part, though there are other companies which exist. So and also even these companies which are not hiring for that deep level of coding knowledge that they are expecting from the students, when they are even asking for shallow knowledge, which is also not found. So even if some high tech product company might visit the campus, it may so happen that they will not find that talent. So when engineering colleges are there, why they can't just, because you have interacted and worked with so many engineering colleges, what is the gap that they can't convey this message that there are two type of companies, services and product companies, and they require different kind of skill?
So
What
this
is
gap,
the
yeah, you are right. This gap actually exists in colleges also. In colleges, I started giving seminars in colleges some 15 years back, and at that time, I had to go really, I had really hard time convincing colleges that there is a world out there which is focusing on core computer science skills, which is focusing on data structure, which is focusing on algorithms. So when I used to visit IITs, they were very clear in their mind that okay, so these data structure algorithms has value, and I will get a job if I study. If I study these core concepts, then I will get a high paying job. But if I study
okay?
technology, then I will get a low paying job, right? So IITs were clear. The problem was that if you go to the B tier, the very small private institutes, which produces the bulk of software engineering talent, right? Some 10 years back, even the teachers or even the leaders, so-called leaders in the engineering education system, they were also
Okay.
not very clear, right? Because the kind of exposure they have in terms of industry was very limited to these service-based companies.
Okay.
And kind of the way these service-based companies were hiring, they were not actually honoring, they were not respecting the genuine software engineering talent in a person. They were engineering the street smartness of the person, right? So I think the leadership gap, the lack of leadership was present everywhere, and we did not do enough work to nurture leadership. It is only in past 7-8 years or maybe 10 years that we are seeing people in software engineering in leadership role, right? But before that, we didn't have leaders, right? Even now, if you go to if you consider private engineering colleges, we don't have educational leaders in private engineering colleges, right? Second thing is that these private engineering colleges don't have very strong collaboration with the industry, right? They have only one-way communication, that industry is coming to them in their last year, when student is in probably 7th or 8th semester of their engineering, and when the industry come, they come for hiring purpose. So they don't have collaboration which is happening at the first semester level, where people from industry are visiting their campuses. They are sharing their knowledge. Their teachers are going to industry, and this is a two-way communication where teachers are contributing in terms of their research, in terms of the theoretical knowledge that they have, and they are getting from the industry a very practical aspect and validation of their theory, right? So this is a very strong collaboration which is present in the West, right? In US, if you see, universities have very strong connect with their alumni, right? Not just with their own alumni, but with the startup ecosystem there, right? Here, universities are not funding the startup ecosystem, right? They want the companies to come to their campus, but they are not ready to fund the startup ecosystem. They are not even ready to support their own students who wants to build systems from scratch.
Okay, I'll probably, if I consider the other's perspective and say somebody is running an engineering college, I think they have their own limitations because they are not having that big brand. So obviously the premium students will not be joining those colleges. So they'll be already looking for some other students who might not be that great at their learning potential. That's one. Even when we talk about faculties will be striving obviously for the A grade institution. So if say, even if the leadership wants, the students are not that appropriate, and then faculties who are running those institutions are also not having that kind of skill. So when you talked about leadership, in case, because at Real Education what we are doing, we are looking for solutions, that in case there is a leader who is interested in doing and implementing this kind of skill set to their students, what do actually they should do in that case?
See, if you want to look at solutions, my suggestion is that even if it is a very small college, right? And I understand that it is very difficult to get genuine talent in terms of teachers for that college. It may also be difficult to get the smartest student admission in that college, right? So these two are genuine problems, but nobody is stopping that college to have a collaboration with other colleges. nobody is stopping that college to reach out to industry. I have been doing seminars on my own, and I really find it hard to go and give seminar in colleges, even when I am willing. So I never charged for any seminar in any colleges, right? I did even, 1 day workshop or 2 day workshop free of cost, right? Now, at my level, I have reasonably good experience, and I have reasonably good exposure also in terms of the kind of products I have been involved with. Obviously, I have something which I can share with colleges, which students may also find interesting. I think one of the reason is that these college ecosystem have maybe some sense of insecurity, that if someone from outside is coming here, then our student, we are losing maybe control over the students. I don't know what. Second is that they always, you know uh, the thing that they are valuing, it is not that they are not valuing anything. The thing that they are valuing is only the campus placement. So if a seminar is happening and that seminar is not converting into any placements, then they are least interested in that seminar, right? So if I approach a college and I say that I will be coming, I will be genuinely coming for educational purpose only, then they may not be interested. But if I say that I will come, I will do my marketing, but I have a small startup, so I will hire one student from your college, then they will run after me, right? So and then they will, they may have a dedicated person for me. They will, call me 10 times, right? So it is not that they don't have the it is not that they don't have resources, right? They have the resources. They can contact the industry if they want to, but they are contacting the industry only to get their students placed. So my suggestion is that obviously they should focus on placements, but more than placements, they should also focus on the education as such, right? The real education as such. So if they focus on the real education for 4 years, then we have different examples. You gave examples of Anudeep Nikanti, right? I hope I'm getting the name correct, right?
Yes.
And there are many such examples where student from a very small college has actually cracked the interviews of Google and Microsoft and Amazon, right?
Okay. Yeah. So a follow-up question in the same regard, because it is very pertinent. I have attended many industry academia conferences where people are talking about lack of recent skills. So in majority of the conferences, we keep hearing the word that recent technologies are not being covered in the typical college curriculum. Whereas for the product level companies, when we are talking about product based companies, they are still looking for the strong foundation on coding skills, which involves data structure and algorithms. But this conversation is not seen even happening in the conferences. So why people are not even talking about it, that though we are not able to teach the recent technologies, that's one thing, but we are not able to even teach the fundamentals. But this conversation is not hearing. Only people who are aware about product based companies and what they need talk about it, but otherwise most of the cases it's not discussed. Any specific thought that why we even don't discuss about it?
So now this is changing. I can assure you that, especially
Okay.
in good, even in private engineering colleges, in good private engineering colleges. So I have been associated with a couple of engineering colleges, and
Okay.
one very good private engineering college in Dehradun. It's a university now, right? It's a university. Actually have a meeting every year to revise their own curriculum. And the good thing is that in their meeting, in those meetings, they are calling people from industry. They are calling their own alumni, plus their, I have also been part of those meetings, right? So for past few years, it is changing, right? But you are right. The scale of change is very low, right?
Yes.
Most of the institutions, they are still following the same older way, right?
Okay.
One important thing that you have talked about is that it's a kind of as if it's a choice between the new technology and the core computer science concepts, right? So because in the conferences, it is said that we are not imparting the latest technologies in our education system.
And in most of the recent conferences, we are repeatedly talking about AI and ML only. I think whole computer science discussion has been focused on AI ML.
So this AI and ML is more of a jargon than than the actual implementation that we talk about, right? Because the government is talking about, because everybody is talking about AI, so this becomes a buzzword. So even the colleges are also talking about it, right? So if I say that I will come and I will give a seminar on let's say let's say, not machine learning, but let's say neural networks, right? Then unless it has those keywords, I'll have to explicitly put the keyword machine learning, AI. So unless it has those keywords, it will not be taken as AI also, right?
Okay. Yeah,
But
interesting.
yeah, so my
You
point,
were about to say something. Yes.
yeah, my point was that these latest technologies, the way, technology education was happening earlier also. Earlier also, we were, even now, colleges are teaching Android or JavaScript or Angular or, big data. All of these are so at a technology stack, right? The problem is not that we are not teaching new technology. The problem is that when we are teaching technology, we are focusing on the top layer of the technology. We are not focusing on the foundations of the technology, right? I give you a very specific example, right? Let's say if you are teaching Android development to a person, right? Now, Android development is very interesting because the development is happening maybe on a Windows operating system on your desktop, and the actual application is running on Linux, which is your Android operating system. The kernel is Linux, and even the memories are different. Debugging is happening over phone. Development is happening over computer. So this is a very interesting thing because even the networking is involved. TCP/IP is involved, right? Our application is going via TCP/IP. It is getting installed on the phone, and there it is debugging. So there is a client server architecture also. But so this should be taken in this context only, right? So,
Yes.
but what we do is that we start with a Hello World app, and we cover we are touching the very surface of it,
Surface
right?
effect. Okay.
So this is the main problem. So if a person wants to develop their own protocol stack, then our students are not ready for this because they have not seen the protocol stack, right?
Yeah. We have just scratched the surface, and with that I would just like to say to the viewers of this program that you can share your comment and your questions which you are having, so that if we can ask those questions to Mr. Kamal Rawat and he can answer those questions. So there is a chat box below. You can type in your question and we will be able to see and share your question here. And in addition, Mr. Kamal Rawat has agreed to do a webinar for coding interview, how to crack the coding interview of product based company, because he has really deep experience on this subject. He has taught so many beginner level software engineers and even some really senior people whom he has coached on system designing and all those aspects. So he can really help you build those kind of expertise. So we are going to have a webinar. There is a link shown in the bottom where we have also listed the 5+ books that he has written on the topic of related to coding interview and all those things. Now, Mr. Kamal Rawat, I would like to bring upon one very pertinent question which becomes even more critical during the time of COVID-19, that so many companies are firing people, and it seems that people are, when especially in the service class companies, people are fired in bulk, and they find difficult to get a job. Whereas, because in my career itself I have transitioned from a service class company to a product based company, and I realized that a person who is from a product based company is always in high demand. It may so happen that service based software engineer may become irrelevant after some time and may find difficult to get a job, but product level engineers are always in demand still. What about working professionals? If somebody is looking for transition and even know that how they can get into a product based company, how to develop those skills, what they can do right now?
Yeah. So there are two questions in your question. One is the COVID-19 situation that maybe will come later too, right?
Okay.
Second is that how a person can transition from service-based company to product-based company, right?
Yeah.
To give a specific example, a person working in a service-based company, if he want to join, let's say Microsoft or Google or Amazon, so these are all product companies because they have their own product, right? So I give this example in my seminars also, that when a person is working on its own product, if I'm building my own house, my focus is not to to build the house which looks good. My focus will be on building a house with very very strong foundation, right? If I have less money, then I will invest the money on building the foundation, and then when I get money, I will build, I will get it painted, or I will get I will add the accessories on top of it, right?
Okay.
So this is the approach of product-based companies. Product-based companies focus on building genuine product because the product is their own, right? Service-based companies are like contractors. So if I am building a house for someone else, or if I'm a builder and I'm building a house to sell the house, then I can compromise on the foundations because nobody is going to dig the foundation. But I cannot compromise on the looks of the house, right? So this is the focus of service companies, because they can't compromise on the looks of the house, or they can't compromise on the surface, right?
Okay. Yes.
So if you want to transition from service-based companies to product-based companies, you will have to change your thought process, maybe, right? It is only the thought process. Product-based companies value your problem-solving skills. They will not value your dress code. They don't care about your English speaking skills. They don't care about the so-called soft skills, if there are any, right? They focus more on your problem-solving abilities. Now, this problem-solving abilities is a loaded word, right?
Yes.
Because it has many aspects to it. So when I say problem-solving abilities, I mean that if a problem is given, you should be able to solve that problem logically, right? This is one aspect of problem solving. Second aspect is that you should be able to convert your logic to code. This is second aspect too, right? Which we call coding interviews, right? So Google used to ask puzzles earlier. Puzzles were the first aspect, which they have now stopped asking. And third aspect is that you are solving a problem where you are solving the problem at architecture level. So that is the system design aspect. So when we say you should be good in problem solving, essentially it means that if you are very experienced, then you should be good in designing, either low-level design or high-level design. If you are mid-level, then you should be good in your very strong logical capacity and coding capacity. And if you are a fresher, then you should have very strong acumen. Your coding should be really fast, and your problem solving abilities. You should be able to convert your logic to code, right? Technology is not important. Technology is not important means that the programming language that you are using is irrelevant. Whether you are coding in C++ or C# or Java or any other programming language or Python, right? That is probably not that is irrelevant, right? Does it answer your question?
Yes, it definitely answered my question, and probably I'm sure the viewers will be getting real benefit out of it. Though I'm still seeing that, because you are part of that industry and you have a deep experience, so saying that changing the mindset, but I've seen that transitioning that mindset, what to do, what not to do, is itself a very long post problem. So I think we need mentors like you to help them guide that what do we actually mean by problem solving, what do we actually mean by mindset change, because they need some mentoring and hand holding. Because I've been part of product based companies and I've seen that internal sites might say that we don't prefer service based employee, people coming from service based companies, because they carry altogether different attitude of solving problems.
Right.
So we have two questions coming from so I'll take the first question and it will be shown on the screen. The question is from Rajiv Shah. These days companies needs jack of all trades and masters of none, so it get difficult to get the depth knowledge of each and everything. How do you deal with this?
Okay. So I partially agree with this. I don't fully agree with this, that company need jack of all trades and master of none, right? So companies usually need, see, in software engineering, the shelf life of a technology is very, very less, right? When we were doing our masters, Android was not even present, right? And I spent some of my time in working on Android apps in Microsoft, right? So basically, the shelf life of a technology is around 3 years, right? A new version of the technology will come, and maybe that will completely topple the older version of the technology, right? So in that sense, industries can't rely on you being master of one technology today, because that technology may become irrelevant after 3 years, right? Or maybe industry, that particular industry may not use that technology after 3 years, even if that technology is not irrelevant, right? So that's why mastering one technology may not help, right? Mastering one programming language or mastering one, let's say, one thing may not help, right? That's why we are focusing on people who are self-learners and who are good problem solvers, right? If you are a good problem solver, you will not focus on, that I will stick to this particular language or I will stick to this particular technology. You will focus on the problem, and whatever is required to solve that problem, you will try to learn that, right? So this industry is very, very dynamic as compared to other industries, right? In mathematics, what I have studied, maybe 20 years back, my children are studying the same thing, right? My daughter is studying still the same thing. In softwares, what I have studied in my master's, nobody is going to study that, right? That is completely gone. So we should probably appreciate this, and if not appreciate, we should at least understand this, that software industry jobs are going to be like this one. You asked about the COVID-19 situation. Actually, COVID-19 is not firing people. This firing was bound to happen. I think COVID-19 has just preponed it, right?
Okay.
So if not now, maybe after 5 years or 10 years, when things are more managed, when things are handled on their own, right? Then maybe that firing may would have come, right? So
Yeah.
COVID-19 situation has just preponed it. They are losing clients, so they would have lost the, they would probably lose the client after 10 years, if not now.
Okay. Or to add to on this answer, I think with my background in software engineering, I could see that probably students are having interest in one particular field, but they keep getting different advices from different mentors. So probably somebody who has developed expertise in networking might appear for an interview for some web application where they may not need that kind of expertise. So what these people might do is to this is what we recommend, is to, if they are having focused on one particular skill, they should approach only those companies. If they are looking for developing networking like protocol, they should more approach the companies which are focused on networking, so that they don't see that the next company is asking for entirely different set of skills. Does it make sense? What do you think?
So this, you are talking about different verticals. You're not talking about
Yeah.
technology per se, right? So networking is a vertical, right? Database is a vertical. Similarly, development is a vertical. Software development is a vertical, right? So obviously, if you are very strongly, if you feel very strongly about one particular vertical, then there are a lot of companies in that vertical. But in that vertical also, there will be technologies which will get isolated after some time,
Yeah.
right? Which may get which may not be relevant after some time. So maybe in networking, what we have studied, maybe some new protocol will come, right? For example, the way people are using REST-based technology now is different from the way people were using REST-based technology 10 years back, right? Now with this all GraphQL and all those things, right? So
Yeah.
we can't escape updating ourselves, and we can't escape learning, continuous learning, especially in computer science.
Yes.
I'm just,
True.
yeah,
We have
just put this on the table.
Okay, we have another question coming from Abhishek Kumar. Narayan Murthy said in India, student has lack capability to crack the ability to crack the exam, but good marks, but they cannot have that right talent. Basically, how do you see the statement that we can score the marks but not having the talent? Is that the case?
So, with all due respect, I think Narayan Murthy should take the responsibility of this, because Narayan Murthy is one of the, with all due respect, he has done a great job. He has provided employment to a lot of people. Obviously, a lot of people, he has contributed to the GDP of the country. A lot of people have got employment because of him. But at least he is, if not, one of the major person responsible. He is partially responsible for this situation which is there, especially in software industry, right? In software industry, it is because of Infosys, which has, I mean, I don't want to name companies in such a forum like this, but I I feel bad that Indian companies, and this is not just Narayan Murthy, that Indian companies who could have invested in R&D, who could have built, sustainable, large-scale products, have not invested in R&D uh, uh, in last at least 2 decades, right? It is only now that their R&D setups are coming, because now service industry is going down. But
Okay.
we have completely missed the thing. Twitter should have, Facebook should have come from Infosys. Twitter should have come from Infosys. A search engine should have come from Wipro, right? Or maybe Android operating system should have come from TCS or Tech Mahindra, right? I'm not limiting myself to one particular person or one particular company. It is it is with all the Indian companies, right?
Yeah, valid answer. And I must say that probably there are other people who are striving and building up products in, and lately it has started happening. I think most of these companies are also have started building their development centers also, where they
Yeah.
are hiring product level software engineers for those
Right
kind of
now,
roles.
right now, these companies are visiting the campus in two different profiles, right? They visit the campus to hire people for service level job, and they are paying X amount of salary to those students, and they visit the same campus for hiring people in the R&D profile, and they pay X plus Y amount of salary, right?
Okay.
So when they hire students, when they hire IT professionals for service based for their service profile, they provide them, let's say, a package of 3.5 lakhs. But when they hire same college, same students, but when they hire them for R&D profile, they will have completely different selection criteria. They will focus more on core computer science concepts, and they will come with a package of initial package of 7 lakhs or 8 lakhs.
Yes, makes sense. So things are changing, and I think the onus is also on the learner side, that if can they can expose themselves to the new things which are happening, and even search for this word product based companies. I think most of the people might be searching for jobs for software engineer, which may not lead to the right kind of information on Google. If they start searching for that, how to get into a product based company, this change in Google search query can lead them to a entirely different direction.
Mhm.
Yes.
So now even startups are product-based companies, right? Paytm is a product-based company. Snapdeal is a product-based company, right? So the selection criteria of very small startups, which are producing very small products, is almost similar to the selection criteria of large companies like Google or Amazon, right? They also are focusing on, because they have to focus on core computer science skills. They have to focus on people who are very strong in their technical acumen.
Okay. With your exposure in while dealing with companies, because you have been at the top position in these companies, product-based companies, you have coached so many students, you have dealt with engineering colleges. If some policy maker is watching this show, what would be your advice to him, that what they can do at the policy level to enhance and develop this kind of talent?
So this, I really like this question, because uh, uh, now this is changing a lot. Now I have seen government investing a lot of money, and students, and that money is actually reaching to the students, IT and engineering students, right? So first of all, engineering students, if they are watching it, then engineering students should focus on the government schemes which are present. So, and they should focus it from the right from the first year of their engineering college, right? So there are a lot of schemes, a lot of hackathons happening at government level, and if projects are getting selected in those hackathons, then government are funding those projects, right? So there were students of mine, I think last year, their project was funded by the Finance Ministry of India. Money coming directly from Finance Ministry of India, just because they participated in the hackathon and they won I think they won probably the second prize, and they were from a private college here in Greater Noida, right? So first thing is that government is, for past few years, government is kind of having their focus right, at least in this direction. Second
Okay.
is that still a lot of things need to be done, especially, you know we want the ecosystem of venture capitalist funding, or we want the money at engineering level, which student can burn, and they can just experiment with, not just student, even the professionals, right? So let's say if I am a 3 years experienced person, and if I have some idea which I want to work on, I will probably not find any funders if I don't have any strong contact, right? And I will have to burn money from my pocket to implement the idea, and that entire thing is very frustrating, because I am burning my savings. I may not get the sufficient returns. My peers will have different levels of saving than mine. So government should probably have this, government should probably push this ecosystem of venture capitalists, and that should be a more streamlined process, and more funds should come in these areas, right? So that professionals can experiment with Startup India, Stand Up India, all these schemes. Uh, the government is doing it, but this is probably not enough. at least the scale at which this should happen, according to.
Yeah, I think some revolutionary kind of step might be required, that we can upgrade and develop this kind of skill of product based companies. Like we had green revolution and white revolution, we might have a product based companies skilling revolution, if students and probably not just students, professionals can
Mhm.
upskill themselves on that kind of level. I think we
And this
can
should be
change India.
right, completely. And this should be at multiple levels. I mean,
Yeah.
government should not probably think that government should do everything. Government should have multiple layers, right? So government should be at the top layer, and there should be very strong leadership layers in between. Right now, we don't have that middle leadership stack,
Okay.
where they should fund the leaders, and those leaders should go and they should actually invest the money in different areas.
Okay, makes sense. We have just last 5 minutes before we end up this live session. In case the viewer have any question or comment and any message to Mr. Rawat, they can type in the comment box below, and it will reach out to him. So, in my last question, I would ask Mr. Rawat that in ancient system, when we talked about Arjun who got Dronacharya, so in my talks I always talk about these are like new age IITians or probably IIM students who are in best institution with best teachers. But there are some Karan who found a person like you, mentor like you, right, and who may develop those kind of skill. But what about Eklavyas? If there is some Eklavya who want to build that kind of skill of product based company, and they have just, and actually nowadays it's not just that, even with engineering they have to develop that skill, they can start doing it even in their schools, right? So what should they do, how parents can help them, their kids, if they see that they are going towards the coding interview sort of thing, like coding competency, what they can actually do, some 3 or 4 website or some good references or some good books which can help them.
Right. Uh, so one thing is that for the Eklavyas, it is now, you know, so earlier it was not a level playing field, because earlier the IITians, those were getting a lot of advantages, right? Because they have very strong exposure to all the good companies of the world, all the high paying companies of the world, and a person sitting in Google may be finding it very challenging to hire person, to hire fresh talent, because they can't just go to any private college and they say that we will hire from this particular private college, because they may not get return over investment, right? They are investing so much time, and they may not get even a single student there, right? So this was the challenge which companies were facing, and this was the because of this challenge there was not a level playing field for engineers from different colleges. That's why IITs, NSITs, all those have a little competitive advantage over students who are not from who are from private engineering colleges, because they have, maybe this is a justified advantage because they have studied hard in 12th standard and they have cracked the exam, right? But now it is a level playing field, almost level playing field. So if you are in a very small engineering college, irrespective of which engineering college you are in, you can showcase your talent, and the platform is available online. So there are a lot of these online competitive coding platforms like HackerRank, LeetCode, HackerEarth, CodeChef, right? And Google is having, for example, let's consider Google. Google is having annual developer competition, and Google is having annual competition for students, which they call Kickstart. Right? So if you are a student and if you want to join Google, then you can participate in that annual coding competition, and it's like Google is coming to your campus. Earlier, Google used to visit only IITs. Now Google is visiting every campus. You just need to participate in the online competitive exam. So at at the level of having a level playing field, it is already fixed. Right now, the field is level playing.
Okay.
But at the level of preparation and at the level of skill development, there are still challenges, because if you are from very good institution, then you are getting very good teachers, you are getting very good peers, right? You will learn a lot of things, and without putting much effort to it, right? But if you are not from a good engineering institute, or if you are studying at home, then you may have to work little harder to get that knowledge or get those skills, right? So in that sense, my suggestion to students is that they should approach they should approach people like you, right? Who can connect them to the actual mentors, right? And people in industry are really friendly. People in industry really like you if a student will come and he will say that, can you help me doing this? Because in industry, people want to help, right? My second suggestion is to people from industry. Even though they want to help, they are not taking that extra mile, extra step that they can, right? So, all those people who are working in industry, they should probably spend at least 2 days in a year or 3 days in a year or maybe, 1 week in a year. And they should visit some engineering college, right? If not their own alma mater, they should visit some engineering college and they should just connect with the students there. I have seen the effect of having just one seminar on the life of students. It's very impactful.
Yeah, quite interesting. And I think we have a compliment coming from Vikas Pratap Rai. Every time it's very motivating to see you, sir. I must be your past student who has seen you doing this thing earlier. So with that, I would just like to have your last comment for the viewers that probably related to product-based companies or outside it, that how they can live a better life. Any last recommendation from your side?
Sorry, how they can
live a better life?
The people living in product-based companies, people working
Anyhow,
in
your last recommendation for people, some inspiring statement or the things which you are following in your life, probably which keeps you moving in such a direction.
So one thing that I have seen is that people working in product-based companies are almost equally insecure. So probably a person who is sitting at the top, like people working in Google or people working in Microsoft, especially if they have 10 years of experience or 7 years of experience or 8 years of experience, I think that they should be in a leadership role. They should be in the leadership role. They should come out. They should come out in the open. They should actually take the lead in redefining the education, because they have been part of it and they have excelled in it. But I see, because of the peer pressure, or I don't know, because of maybe because of the growth prospects or whatever it is, I see many of them have their own insecurities. So my suggestion is that if you are insecure, you are among the top maybe 0.1% of the people, right? If you will get insecure, then who will basically who will develop the leadership for the next decade or next 2 decades or next 3 decades? It is us only who have to take this responsibility.
Yeah, and I think with the digital medium, things are really getting expanded nowadays, and with the acceptance right now, so people can actually may not have to physically go to some other place. They can do these kind of open webinars where people can attend those classes, and there is a lot many opportunities that are available these days.
So this is where I really appreciate you, because you have left your job. I think some 5-6 years back, right?
Yes,
and I really appreciated that the way you took the plunge, and it's not easy leaving the fixed monthly salary and taking the plunge and entering in a system where with the thought process and with the mindset of actually helping the helping your juniors. So this is a really good thing which you have taken, but we should see more and more people coming out and maybe not leaving the job, but at least more and more people coming out and help. Help sounds a little negative word to me, because more help.
Enabling, we can say enabler.
Yeah, enablers, or maybe people don't need pity or help; they just need cooperation, right? So we just need cooperation, collaboration, all those things.
Yeah, because you talked about me, and with that context, I have an additional point to it, that people who take that action, because I know some of my friends who have actually taken that action, it gets really difficult to build a sustainable business also out of it. that's what the struggle. Probably what we are looking for at Real Education is how we can reduce that struggle. So when we go out and talk about that people should become entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs are having their own set of struggle. So if we can reduce that struggle, people can find some smooth transition. So at Real Education, that's what we are focusing, that we can bring in these top people or corporate professionals and connect with them learners. So learner could be of any age or any background, and I think that can empower other students and learners basically.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Completely
With
agree.
that thought, I would like to say bye bye, and thanks to you, Mr. Kamal Rawat, for sparing your time from your busy schedule and inspiring the viewers. This is a live session, so this is going to stay. And in case you have any further query in future, also you are watching this show some other time, you can type in the comment, and we will connect you with Mr. Rawat for your queries. With that, we are also showing a URL in the bottom where there will be a webinar next month on how to crack coding interview by Mr. Rawat, and we'll be organizing that webinar. So if you are interested, you can fill in those details and you can participate in that free webinar to understand and what are the nitty gritty to crack coding interviews. With that, thank you, Mr. Rawat. Thanks for your time. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thanks for yours.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
see you next time.